What is good, Counter-Strike fans? Welcome back to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today, we're going to be talking about FISSURE Playground 2 Group Stage. But before we get started, let's take a look back at how I did at Blast London Playoffs, which we got a top 12%. Not too bad, 12 points added on to our fall season 2025 standings. G2 ended up winning the event, and Vitality did good enough. Very disappointed by Mouse and Furia. Specifically, Torshi didn't get me enough points in that first matchup against M80. And Jakindar went out kind of sad against G2. If we take a look at the best value for money players, it was all G2 basically. Heavy got amazing performance. He's going to be a top 10 player by the end of the year. HLTV in the rankings for sure. The way that he's been playing throughout the whole year, he's been super consistent. One of the best hybrid players. He's currently an anchor, but he can play any position. He can even op. If you saw some of the event, you saw that he was pretty good with the op as well. Saiwu Flamesy from Vitality, and then Spinks to round it all off. Currently 52 points, 2,734 in the rankings, about 61 points away from first place, so still a lot of work to do, but this is the event to do it here. So for FISSURE, the setup will be a switch stage event, and here are the rankings for the event. So take a look at these and kind of base your picks depending on how high up they are. I mean, the better ranked they are, the better matchup in theory they should get. So for example, Mongols is ranked number 1. Then it's Falcons, Aurora, and Face Clan. So that's the top 4. And then the bottom 4 will be Legacy, Tyloo, Limb Vision, and Team Liquid. So depending on how the matchups go, win or losses, a better placement will for sure give you an easier matchup, and a worse placement will give you a worse matchup in theory. Especially if all the favorites, for example, the top 8 went out and the bottom 8 lose, then you kind of have that those matchups kind of fixating into one another. But more about that later. Just take a look at the opening matchups. Real quickly, Gamer Legion vs Tyloo. I would lean more Gamer Legion currently. Tyloo, they had a good start to the season and they had a good little run in between, but they've been kind of dropping off. If Young is not popping off, then I don't see how Tyloo beats someone like Gamer Legion, even though Gamer Legion have an op that's not doing too well in Kersey, but their 3 riflers, Res, PR, and Tossin are really good, and they should win this, probably in a 2-1 fashion at least. Mongols vs 3D Max. Mongols should win this easily. 3D Max are fine, but not good enough to beat Mongols. Falcons versus BP. Falcons should win this, especially because the expectations of the team. BP just let go of Electronic, and they brought in a rookie from their academy roster. So I don't expect much of them, and it's Perfecto's first event as IGL, so not much expectations from BP. Aurora versus Astralis. Astralis just let go of Stomp, and they brought in Magis, so someone has to take Stomp's role. Who would it be? Would it be Javi? Would it be Stare? I'm leaning more towards maybe Javi getting those roles from Stomp, and then Magic's taking the anchor roles away from Javi. Like Stare just left, so a lot going on with Astralis. And Aurora, kind of up and down season, but I think Aurora should win this over Astralis, but it's going to be a 50-50. Heroic versus Legacy. I think Legacy should win. Heroic just let go of Tenier, and now they have, I believe they have, who's the current player that they have standing in for him? So X-File's back. And Alcaran is still their upper. But yeah, I think 10 years a big loss. X-File should be good enough to get them there, but you kind of lost a lot of firepower with then you're gone. And Legacy are a team that play good Counter-Strike. They just don't have the star players that they should. The mouse fine as well. Like the mouse should do good, but I will lean towards Legacy. G2 versus LBG. G2 should win. FaZe versus Pain. FaZe should win, but we've seen Pain step up a lot in underdog situations, and then when they're favorites, they just mess it all up. But I still lean FaZe, and then Furia versus Liquid. With the current form, I have to go with Furia, but Liquid can pull off these miracle games as well. Now let's take a look at the top 10 players for this event, and the most picked players, actually, I would say, not the top 10 players. And it's dominated by G2. I mean, look at this. Mattias, Heavy God, Hunter, Malbs, and Sampayas all are in the top most picked players, with Mattias and Heavy God gathering about 40% of selections. Then you have players like Techno getting about 28%, Brokey with under 20, and then Masi around that 15%. Now, we can finally talk about the players individually, and let's start with Mongols. For Mongols, and for a lot of teams here in the top half, their pricing is a little too high, I would say. Mongols should go 3-0, especially with how their form's been recently, but there's honestly no value here. Maybe Techno, because he's starting to pop off. Him and Messinho switched roles, and now Techno is more lurky, and he's been doing pretty good in these type of roles. Messinho's kind of going downhill in his rating by switching with Techno. So if you want to double up on Mongols, probably Techno and then pair him up with like Blitz. I mean, the value's not here, honestly, with Mongols. It's too high pricing for me. For G2, everyone's value. I mean, even Sampayas, who's been the worst player out of the 5, he's still great value here. Heavy God is probably my favorite. Then after that, Mattias, so the top 2 most picked players. Mouse is getting a little bit underpicked, and I think Hunter's getting a little bit overpicked. So definitely, if you can get Mouse, he's still supposed to be the star player roles. He is entering, and maybe with an easier setup teams, he can do a little bit more. For Aurora, again, the pricing is just not there. It's a little too high for me. If you had to pick someone, maybe Lucadia. He's been their second best player pretty consistently, and at 215, I don't mind that. Furia, again, another issue with the pricing. If I had to lean someone, maybe Moldoy, because he's cheaper than Castorado, and I feel like this event kind of leans more towards Moldoy. But Castorado is good enough. Jakindar's fine. Definitely would not go Jury at that price. For Falcons pricing is actually kind of okay. I really like Bonacy at 225. He has not been the best form, but we know the potential of Bonacy. We know how he can pop off. Falcons have a good seeding in this event, so they should get easier matchups. And the first matchup against BP is probably the most lopsided one I see. Nico, I don't mind at 218. He's been performing a lot better. Kyusuke 230. I'd rather go with Monacy or Nico, and then Tessis at 199, hoping he can bounce back a little bit more. For FaZe Clan, this is a team I would maybe double up in. Frozen is great value, 217. He should be at least 220 for sure, so he's a little bit underpriced here. Brokey has been popping off. So if you want to double up, it's probably Frozen and Brokey. And if you want a differential, then Jacob is not bad, but he didn't have the greatest ratings. He was a bit up and down in his debut with FaZe. 3D Max, do you really want to go here? If you do, then Maka and Body are your 2 options, I would say, and then Gravity as a cheapie. Pain, honestly, maybe DGT and Davideos as a double up. Everyone else I would just probably ignore. Astralis, I would say Astralis. I think Jabi, Stare, Hooksy, and Device are options. Pick your poison there. Magic's definitely a void. I still want to see an event with him and this new team. But if you can guess who's gonna get those stab rolls, then they could potentially have a upside in rating. So either Jabi or Stare will take those. And Hooksy at 177 is actually probably my favorite under 180 choice that I can think of. But Astralis, okay option. For Tyloo, Yamjung's been kind of off recently, but I think Masayo's pretty solid as well. He's just a little bit underrated in this team, but you kind of have to, if you go Tyloo, you kind of have to go with Yamjung and then hope for the best there. For Gamer Legion, this team actually has some okay value. Rez I really like. At 200,000, he's been putting up 1.15s pretty consistently. Even if Gamer Legion don't perform, Rez is still getting his numbers, so he's good value. Tozin is probably my favorite bronze player at 184. He's been getting better and better, and he has some good positions in the maps that they play. And PR as a little differential with high upside, high vitality as well. It's a solid option. For Liquid, you never know what you can get with Liquid. They have the name value, they have the players, but they just never perform. If you were to double up, Naf and Twist would be my favorite options here. Then we get to these bottom 4 teams. I don't feel confident in these, but just some quickly double up options. Heroic, Xflout, and Nilo for sure. You have to go there. Maybe Junkstar because he's so cheap. Linvision, honestly, none of them. Maybe Amelia. And then, I don't know who else is good in here. Like Starry. Yeah, Starry and Amelia probably. Virtus Pro, no one, honestly. But Flit is kind of good at 188. And then probably pair him up with like Icy or Fame. And then for Legacy, for sure you get Dumao. And then you get someone like Nissim alongside him. But it is what it is. So here's my team for this event. And I decided to go with, well, you don't decide to go with, you have to go with double G2. It's just their pricing is too good. And they're going to be coming off an event win. And their players are just performing at an all-time high. So definitely go with double G2. Pick your poison, honestly. I'm going with the 2 least most picked players at Mouse and some Pious. Just to go differential and try to gain some value there. And hopefully they have their best event here. I'm also going double Gamer Legion with Tossin and Rez. As like a punt, I think with G2 you can double up there, and then you should double up another team as well and take a punt. Honestly, Gamer Legion, I quite like their coach. I like their riflers. I think Tossin and Rez are great value at their prices. And so that gives me enough money to get someone like Monacy. I think Falcons probably will have one of the easier runs in this event, and they should beat most of the teams here. And Monacy is one of the best players in the world. He hasn't shown it so far, but hopefully this event kind of regains his form. Some other thinking that I was doing is maybe doubling up with FaZe, maybe switching around my G2 players, so getting someone like Mattias, Heavy God, Hunter instead of some Alps and some Pious. But honestly, I'm pretty set with this lineup. The only changes I might make is the G2 combination I go with. But yeah, let me know what you think of my team, and then leave a comment down below what your team is looking like. This event will be very fun because a lot of people will double up on G2, but it'll really depend on your other 3 players that you go with. So definitely think about this event, and yeah, I think good luck, have fun, and see you for the next time.